My name is Nicole Desmond. I am our Feature Friday host for the Women's Matrix subcommunity of the Materials Matrix. Today I have here Kimberly Walley, and so she's going to we're going to do a rapid fire a little bit differently than our normal interview setting. So I'm going to ask her a whole bunch of questions and then have no input from me, just kind of keep rolling with the questions. So yeah, are you ready to get started, Kimberly?
Think so. I'm a bit worried about this, but I'm sure I can. Well, yeah, go for it, Nicole. I'll be fine.
All right. So starting off, what is your role?
So I am a director, company director at a firm called AEON Engineering. We do kind of space and R&D engineering.
And then how did you come into that role currently?
So I kind of had like a backdoor into STEM, I suppose. I trained as a lawyer, and I was working kind of doing legal employment law consultancy, and left the last job that I was in because there was kind of a restructure, and was in the fortunate position to have sort of 6 months off. And in that time, myself and my husband went traveling, and we kind of decided that I didn't really want to work for anyone else. I realized that I was doing 60-hour weeks most weeks for kind of no recognition and no more pay, no recognition, and didn't feel like I was going anywhere. And I thought, actually, I think I could probably do this better myself. So that's what we did. We started the business in 2016, and it's kind of gone from strength to strength. And I'm learning so much along the way about materials and mechanical engineering. It's quite a uphill lesson or uphill journey, but no, I love it. I love it.
Okay, so then you mentioned that you started in law. So is that what you studied in school?
I did, yeah. So for 4 or 5 years, and really, really liked it. I like kind of evidence-based things and kind of building facts behind things, putting arguments forward. And I think in terms of general skills, it's been really, really useful for everything that I've done, every job that I've had. Personal relationships, even, it's been really useful. The ability to kind of digest a lot of information quickly and remember it, I think is applicable to any job, but certainly what I'm doing now, it massively helps. I mean, skim reading is a talent that should be its own degree. Skim reading and being able to remember things should be its own degree. But I think as I'm getting older now, I'm still got like 50,000 different list books. That's my secret.
So then I guess, was that your dream growing up, or did you have some sort of strange, crazy dream job that you had younger?
I suppose I really like the idea of going into like government, and I suppose I was a bit of a cliche child growing up because it was like Disney princesses on one hand, and then also I really had like a big Star Wars thing with my dad, and like I had a poster of Princess Leia, and so it's that kind of vibe that I was trying to go for, like leading the oh my god, I forgot what they're called, Revolution, what they're called, whatever they're called in Star Wars. That was kind of my vibe. So I thought, oh, doing law, all kinds of goes along the same way. I was on all the student councils at school. Actually, I'm on my town council. I don't know really where I fit the time in to do that as well. Obviously, the Women's Matrix. Yeah, so it was that kind of thing that I wanted to go into. I like the sound of my own voice, Nicole. I think that's basically what it's all about.
So then, going off of that, what does your typical day look like other than making a bunch of lists and speed reading?
I don't have a typical day, if I'm being honest.
Every day's different.
Every day's different. I would say kind of my main task or job for the day is to make sure that the business is kind of doing what we say we're going to do. So we really are a values-led business. The reason that I started the business was because I was fed up of working for crusty middle-aged men that only saw things one way, that didn't really care about the work that they were doing, or they'd have full sales teams pitching to people about how they were going to revolutionize somebody's life, but actually when the work came in, it was like, well, if we get it done, we get it done, or that's one tiny task above what they've asked us to do, so slap them with another bill. I used to bill my time in 7-minute chunks. So if I had an email from somebody saying, yeah, that's great, I'll get in touch next week, 10 seconds to read it, no, that has to go down as 7 minutes worth of paid time. And I just thought, this is just awful. Like, why go through university for so many years and try so hard and do all these extracurricular things, and then that's the life. That's what your job is at the end of it. It felt massive cop out. So here, that is my main focus. We do what we say we're going to do. We care about what we do enough to make sure that we don't make promises that we can't keep. Because the world is scary and horrible enough. And I think if you can't trust what somebody's saying to you, you look in the whites of somebody's eyes and you can't trust that they're going to do what they say they're going to do, why would they choose us? Why would they work with us and not somebody else? So that's kind of, as you can imagine, there are a lot of tasks that go along with that. But I suppose at the headline, that is the main thing that I do every day.
So then another question going off of that is, how has your career helped you grow?
Well,
that's a deep one.
Yeah. So my first job after I finished law school, I started, I think I was on £11,000 a year, and I worked out 3/4 of that, or it was what it was costing me to actually get to the job. I came out of law school, like, really good undergraduate degree, top of my class at law school, thinking I am amazing. I'm going to walk in here and I'm going to be like Legally Blonde. I'm going to be up at the front, and it was just so far, so far away from that. It was like I had a crash course in making tea and coffee, opening people's posts, picking up dry cleaning, and as you can imagine, that massively humbled me.
Mm-hmm.
But what I found was the power of being the person that makes the tea and coffee. Because if you do it before you're asked, people then start to like you more and say, and then when you take the tea in, say, hey, have you heard about that? Or this is going on, or I'm going here, do you want to come? So what first sounded like the worst thing ever, and I remember crying on the train home, saying to my mum, I've made a massive mistake, what have I done? Actually, the importance of being humble and willing to get stuck in. It's not a nice thing to do, but everybody has to start from somewhere. And that changed my outlook then on work, and trying to put yourself in the right positions to be able, because everyone's got their own stuff to do. You need to be there at the right time. And the way to do that is to start befriending people. Like now, I would never turn down a drink if anyone's going to make a cup of tea. Never turn it down. I still make the tea, by the way, as well. I don't like people who have a drink and don't make drinks.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I talk about every day. I don't know how we got onto this, Nicole. I talk about this every day in the office. But yeah, that's the thing. Realizing you've got to start from the bottom and work your way up. That your degree is the be all and everything.
I like that. So then, did you have any inspiring mentors or any role models really growing up that led you to, go to law school or even, move into this role now?
I wish I could say there was a woman in STEM that I thought, I'm going to be like her. That's one of my massive frustrations, even now.
Mm-hmm.
Because to be honest, Nicole, I'm 34 and I still think I'm going to get found out. Somebody's going to come in and tell me to get out. But there wasn't, and I still think there isn't really that many women that you see in STEM that are really pushing the way. Hence, one of my reasons to get involved with the women's matrix, especially to try and show that it isn't really stuffy and there's loads of us out here. But in terms of people to look up to, my mum has been a massive influence on me. Her and my dad had their own business, quite a big business, a building company, and that is a very male-dominated industry, much like kind of science and engineering. But she would not take any crap from anyone. She would give as good as she got, made sure that she knew what she was talking about. You can't go toe to toe with somebody unless you are, you're sure of your facts. There's no point just being bullshit and trying to blag your way out of it. You've got to know the subject matter. And I think that both where I am now and kind of going through legal studies and legal career served me really, really well. Because I knew then if I ended up in a situation where I had to kind of assert myself, I would be 100% confident because I knew what I was talking about. So yeah, bless my mum.
Okay. And then so some advice that you'd give your younger self, would it be to go down that route, or do you have any other advice that you'd give yourself?
I would say to myself that you don't know everything. Because that was a really difficult lesson to learn at like, what would I been, like 23? You know, I'm a conscientious person, and if I'm going to do something, I want to be good at it. And it was not a nice feeling to find out that I wasn't as good as what I thought I was. So I think just be reflective, take on advice, but don't necessarily think that that's what you have to do. Because a lot of people have opinions, don't they? But I think it's important to, you know, listen as much as you can. But I think I look back on myself at that time and I just think, what a joke. I would love to see the interviews, like videos of the interviews that I had. I used to go with a portfolio, Nicole. Look at all these things that I've done. What an idiot. But yeah, you learn, don't you, as you get older. God, what cringe. But I think now it's a bit of a different environment for like graduates, younger, like especially women coming up in the world. There's a lot more people like you and I around to show that it isn't a scary place.
Yeah, at least I hope that's what we reflect.
Or they might think, God, if she's in here, I don't want to be part of that gang. But I don't know. I didn't even think STEM was open to me as a career choice. You know, when I went through school, I was good at the kind of the history, English. I was on the debate team, so our careers advisor pushed me down the law route. And I didn't struggle is probably too much of a word, but I always thought, oh God, maths. It was too theoretical, and I couldn't, like, it isn't like that because of this. There's too many variants involved in it, and I think just that bit of disinterest pushed me off the path, and I do wish that I'd stuck with it. But I think seeing people that are doing it now would have been a great help with that, because we've got some very, very cool ladies as part of the materials matrix.
Oh yeah, 100%. And everyone comes from what it seems like a completely different STEM background, but somehow we all come together, and it's just the things they do is amazing. We're kind of at our time limit, so I was going to ask if you could kind of talk about the podcast that you've been doing within the Women's Matrix.
Of course. So I am so happy that I get to host this podcast, because selfishly I use it as a like a one-to-one mentoring training session for myself. So I get to speak to amazing people who know more than me about so many different things. And we try and keep it so it's kind of 15 minutes long, so it's not a like mammoth thing to have to listen to. But it's all about taking advice from them and about how we can, not just jobs and careers, because that would be incredibly dry and boring. We're all people at the end of the day with relationships and families and whatever else. So it's about learning lessons from some amazing women. So we talk about soft skills, we talk about networking. This month we're talking to somebody who isn't actually working in a STEM job, but she works in an amazing astronomy project and has a massive fan of astronomy. So I think I'm hoping it just opens up the door for people to realize they can be a part of STEM and they can take something away from it, you know, to help them be better versions of themselves, really.
Well, I think that wraps things up for us. So thank you everyone for joining in and listening. You can check out videos like this, as well as Kimberly's podcast on our Women's Matrix, which is a sub-community of the Materials Matrix. So if you guys have any questions for her about her role and, you know, more about how she got into it, you know, feel free to reach out to her. Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you again next month. Thanks, Kimberly.